My name is Sean Thomas, and I'm the author of Be More Today, a 40-day guide to a better version of you. As doctor of physical therapy, I've seen thousands of people do great things. They came to me with ailments, physical ailments, pain, issues, and they got through them, all because they decided in their mind they were going to do it. And I guarantee you, if you just trust the process and be persistent, you too can be the best version of you. Have you ever been out and about with nowhere to stash your keys and ID so you can be hands-free? Whether you're running errands, traveling, or hitting the trail, Spy Belt is the belt that goes where you go. Made with stretchable fabric and a low-profile design, Spy Belt is your perfect companion to keep your essentials secure without bouncing or chafing. Choose from several prints and colors in the original, a wider band in the Pro versions, or the newest Spy Belt, Whiteout, an all-white belt that is perfect for summer. Visit www.spybelt.com to get your Spy Belt today. Run smart, run free, run with Spy Belt. Don't let aches and pains hold you back from living your life. At Jack Physical Therapy, our experienced clinicians create a personalized treatment plan that fit each and every patient's needs uniquely. Whether it's recovering from an injury or enhancing your performance, we've got you covered. With over 150 locations throughout New York, New Jersey, and Pennsylvania, there is sure to be a Jag Physical Therapy location near you. Visit jagpt.com and book an appointment today to get back to the life you love. That's jagpt.com, jagpt.com.
Welcome to the Be More Today show. Don't forget to like and subscribe to our show today. Now, let's hear it from our host, Dr. Sean Thomas.
What's going on, folks? It's your boy again, Dr. Javorn Farrell, back in the building with the Be More Today show. We are back in the building. And folks, we are here now officially in the fall season. It feels good. It feels good to be in the fall here in season 6 of the Be More Today show, rocking out in this now for 6 years. The show has been continuing to inspire others to do great things in the world of health and fitness. So we're thankful for your love and support. It does not go unnoticed, folks. We're doing so many great things this year. My first book out there, Be More Today. Our second book is still trending out there, Project More. So many stories about people who've been out there reading the book, sharing their stories, their progress, getting those steps in with our Steps of Greatness Challenge, which is starting next month. October 1st, it starts again for our final season for this year. Hoping to have more people sign up this year again. They had 102 people last season. Hoping to have more again this season, but it's been great seeing the progress of everyone going out there and taking their steps to greatness to be the best version of them. I love to see it. So keep being out there. As you know, the show continues to be everywhere on Spotify and Apple Podcasts and on YouTube as well. So subscribe. We appreciate you on Facebook and Instagram with BeMoreToday.show, BeMoreToday.pt, and your boy here, Dr. Sean Thomas, on all major platforms. The show has now grown to 97 countries, over 76,000 downloads. So thank you again for being a part of the Be More Today movement. It truly never goes unnoticed. Our patrons out there also, from Spy Belt, the best running belt out there in the business, our company, Jag Physical Therapy, for continuing to inspire and encourage the show and sponsor the show. I appreciate you. And our monthly patrons, thank you so much always for giving. I really appreciate it. Our quote for today is simple as always. Life is just like a game. First, you have to learn rules of the game, and then play it better than anyone else, by Albert Einstein. Folks, this has been my motto for this year. I decided that this year I'm doing everything. I'm going to teach for the first time. I'm going to run Tokyo for the first time. I'm going to do all the things that I have not done because I want to be the best at that game, the best at my craft, the best at being a dad, the best at being a husband, the best at being a physical therapist, the best at even being someone in my church. And I've made that my mantra, even writing this book this year, Project More, just trying to make sure that I go out there and I'm more in what I want to do and just being the best at that. And I can honestly say that a lot of the drive, because people always like, oh, where do you find the time? Where do you find time to do all these different things? A lot of that drive and determination and even structure came from sports. It came from playing, being in a structured team, learning discipline, applying that discipline to my life in various ways. And there are so many things that I learned from sports that I applied to my everyday life. And I love talking about how the analogy between sports on the field or on the court, on the track, applies to life as well. And I thought to myself, who can I bring on the show who would have that same energy, have that same vibe, that same mentality to look at the game and how the game can be played on and off the court. And I have a new friend and family, to be honest, folks. His name is Javorn Farrell. Now, for those who don't know, Javorn is a man of many, many talents. He is a Brooklyn native, so we give a shout out to Brooklyn for being Brooklyn BK stand up. But this guy has been so instrumental and so powerful as an athlete and as an entrepreneur. He arrived in LA about 8 years ago from the DC metro area, and he has a lifelong passion for basketball, real estate, and community empowerment. He was a standout player from the start, playing for various teams in high school and in college. And I'll have him share a little bit about that as well. Went on to play Division 1, like me, D1, played at UMass and had a great season out there, but then got hurt. And I wanted him to share his story about being hurt and how he's used that pain, used that struggle to go out there and apply the rules of the game to now real estate and other things he has planned. Folks, I'm super excited to have him on the show today. So without further ado, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, pets included, please welcome to the stage my cousin and my new best friend, who's going to be ahead of the game very, very soon, Javorn Farrell. Javorn, what is going on?
What's going on? Thank you for having me. Thank you for having me for sure.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. We're here, and I gotta let the people know. I was blessed enough to be invited to your wedding this summer, which I really appreciate. It was a beautiful wedding in California. I love California for a number of reasons, but just the weather out there and your wedding was par excellence, sir. It was an amazing experience to be around family and new friends, and it was beautiful. So shout out to Milan for bringing you into the family. I'm happy to call you my cousin now and excited for all the things that we'll be able to share together as a family as well. But I just want to say
Sure.
thank you again for that invite and congratulations.
Definitely. No, it was a pleasure having you guys. It was great meeting that whole side of the family. You hear stories, but it was great for everything coming together. And Milan and I, since the wedding, have talked about just how special of a day a wedding is because you'll never have that collection of people in a room at the same time ever again. Yes, maybe you might have events where, a third of those people come or, 75%, but never that the same group of people. So it was definitely special. Love was in the air. Everything was flowing. Everything was perfect. And yeah, we were so blessed to have everybody there.
Yeah, absolutely dope. Absolutely dope. And it was funny because, I hadn't known much about you. I know every time you guys came to Brooklyn, usually for West Indian Day Parade, we were always out of the city. So we kept missing each other. It's great to
Yeah.
actually see you in person and to see the family and the vibes and all that. And in speaking to you, even briefly during the wedding, you mentioned about your foot. And I was like, wait a minute, this guy is talking about foot injuries. What's going on? So I had to ask what was going on. So, let's get into it. I'm happy that we're family, and I'm happy that you have such a legacy when it comes to sports, and in particular, coming to basketball. Now, I played basketball in high school, and I was not as good as you at all, right? But looking at your bio and looking at what you've done, you've had a great career. So, just share with listeners, what the basketball experience was for you,
Hmm.
and why you stopped playing.
Man, the basketball experience, I'm gonna answer that question first. What that was for me, it was full of highs and lows. It's a journey that you don't realize that you're not prepared for until you're actually in the thick of things. Um, as you mentioned earlier, I started out pretty fast in basketball, gaining national recognition in middle school. Having conversations with college coaches in middle school. So, I was a pretty sought after athlete, and then from there, going on and playing at UMass. Things you get into college after high school, for me at least. I mean, it's different as opposed to these days, right? Back in those days when we played, and I say that like it was such a long time ago, but back in those days when we played, it was, you just go out, you play. A lot of us were just gifted with like natural talent, natural ability, but nowadays guys are in the gym.
Hmm.
A day, 5 hours a day, like trying to perfect this crap. But yeah, we just rolled the ball out. We played at parks, and it wasn't. It was less like focused training, more just going and playing.
Right.
And so one thing that I think I wasn't aware of going into college, well, like I say, I was aware of it, but I didn't do much of it, was the individualized training. And when I got to college, that's when I understood, like, oh, I have to start doing this on my own as
Mhm.
opposed to just going and playing. I have to go and spend dedicated hours of like, perfecting my craft, fine-tuning the things that I'm not really good at because I don't have opportunities to just go to a park and play
Right.
with guys to work on some of those things. Um, so that was a little bit of the learning curve going from this person who everyone was telling was so great in high school, to now you're in college and now you're realizing that you have to adapt a little bit, right? You're not the best player or one of the uh, one of the guys that everybody's talking about when you walk in the gym. It's like, oh no, there's this guy, this guy, this guy, this guy, and then you're also there, right?
Mhm.
So just having that learning curve was part of the journey, and that's, I wouldn't say it was a low. It fueled me a little bit to, figure out different ways to be active and to be able to get the coach's nod to want to have me on the court. And it just made me like a scrappier player, tougher. I wouldn't say angry, but I played with more. I guess less care of my body and more care for the basketball. So diving on the floor, like sacrificing my body at all costs. And that ultimately led to in my freshman year, my freshman preseason at UMass, and found out that I had this hip pain, and it was difficult for me to lift up my legs and like even like put on my basketball shorts and my pants. And initially they thought it was a sports hernia. Then went to go get the MRI and found out that I had a torn labrum in my hip. Obviously, the remedy for that was a surgery. However, I'm this freshman. I'm, a top 100 player in my class. I'm like, oh yeah, well, I'm not redshirting.
Mhm.
Got to play. I got to prove myself, right? I have to prove that I belong here. So, redshirting wasn't even a thought that crossed my mind because they said, hey, if you can play with this discomfort, like we'll wrap you up, we'll limit you in practice, but
Sure.
you'll go out there, you have a wrap around your hip every game, you
Right.
shoot it at cortisone, and we can get you out there and you can go play. Um, and I did that the whole freshman year. I played with a torn labrum in my hip.
Mm.
Eventually became a starter, like towards the last third of the season, or like around Christmas. Yeah, so like the last third of the season, I became a starter and started the remainder of the games. And I developed a I guess a personality or a character of like they at UMass they would call me the junkyard dog because I did all the scrappy work. I was
Mm.
defending the team's best player, diving on the floor, getting us extra possessions and things like that. So at the end of that season. Um, I was told by the doctor, like, yeah, we have to have surgery. So I think like a month and a half after the season was over, I was in the operating room the week before finals. The week before finals week, had surgery on my hip labrum to repair my hip labrum. And to this day, I still have like, the scar tissue built up because after college, you don't realize you don't appreciate your athletic trainers in
Mm.
college until after you're gone,
Mhm.
right? You're there for treatment 2 to 3 times a day. They're on call when you need them most of the time. So not having that after college, and I'll get into this a little bit later in the story, but not having that after college for me was difficult, and the scar tissue buildup, the lack of flexibility in the hip and certain things. So. That's something that I continue to struggle with today. But throughout college, I was supposed to be out 9 months, 6 to 9 months. My athletic trainer, Dave McCluskey, I gotta give him a shout out. He's from the New York area, but been at UMass for probably, I think, the past 20 years or so.
Mm. Yeah.
But he, 6 a.m., he's with me and 2 to 3 times a day. And I got back. I had surgery at the end of April. I was back doing windmill dunks in July.
Mm.
And back playing pickup with my
Hmm.
teammates at the end of July
Hmm.
in summer. So um, I had a teammate that had that same injury a couple years later, and he had to miss the whole season.
Yeah.
So that's just a testament to like the athletic trainer, and if you're serious about like the actual rehabilitation of like if you're of an injury, then you can like overcome whatever the doctor's
Hmm.
desired times for you to come back is. And one thing that I was anytime I had an injury, I didn't party, I didn't drink, I didn't do any of any of like the extracurriculars that you would normally do being an athlete, right, in college. I didn't do any of that because I was so serious about like, hey, I got to get back on the court.
Yeah.
So any injury that I had, the recovery time was, if not cut in half, a lot less than half at the time. So fast forward to UMass, second year had a good year, was second on the team, and I think points, assists, and rebounds.
Mm.
Then coming back into my junior year. So let me rewind really quick. My sophomore year in that preseason. So this is coming off of my the hip surgery. So preseason, I'm expected to take on this bigger role,
Yeah.
um, which I was okay with. And we're in October, gearing up and ramping up for the season, and we're doing a drill. I think 3-on-2, 2-on-1, and I go up for a layup, and I come down on a teammate's ankle.
Mm.
And when I tell you that was probably top five worst pains I've ever had in my life, because I've twisted ankles, I've rolled ankles,
Hmm.
but this was different. This like I fell to the ground. And then I got up, started hopping around. I tried to put a little bit of weight on it. My like foot buckled. I just couldn't do anything.
Yeah.
And they hobbled me all the way through the arena back to the trainer's room, and by that time my ankle, like if you imagine putting a baseball inside of your ankle, so that's what my ankle looked like. It was just like a baseball, just it was just bulging on both sides, and like at that point I was like, oh man, is it broken? Like
Right.
what's going on? Um, so I do the ice tub for 20 minutes. We come out of it. It's still swollen. It's starting to turn purple, and so they throw me in a wrap, and I couldn't walk. They gave me crutches. They wrapped me up, and then I think the next day or so we went to get an MRI. Right. Initially, our athletic trainer was like, "Yeah, you have a high ankle sprain. You should probably be out 6 to 8 weeks or so." Right? Which is normal for a high ankle sprain, right? Nearly 2 months, right?
Right.
If it's like a grade 2 or 3.
Hmm.
Sometimes it could, like LeBron had that in his first year, I believe, with the Lakers, and he was out from like February through the rest of the season. So
Yep.
it's a serious thing. So I because when I went to get the MRI, I had so much swelling, they couldn't see what was going on, right? They
Right.
couldn't tell me what's going on with my tendon. So like it was just like, yeah, okay, you have a grade 2 or 3 high ankle sprain, and we're gonna just continue to give you treatment. Again, me, stubborn, like, hey, like I need to get back on this court. So I'm
Mm.
in the training room again, 6 a.m. I'm,
Yeah.
I'm staying in shape. I'm doing aqua jog every morning as well, like staying in shape, getting on the bike during practice,
Yeah.
the massage and doing grass and everything on my ankle to
Hmm.
get swelling out, the ultrasounds, everything you could do. Because we were at that point, we had our season opener, which I missed, and we had another game which I missed. We started the season 2-0, and then we had a preseason. Like in college, they call it preseason tournaments, but it's part of the season.
Yeah.
We
Yeah.
had that season tip-off tournament where we were supposed to be playing two pretty good teams at the time, TCU and New Mexico State. Um, and I was like, yo, there's no way I can miss this. Like, there's absolutely no way. And like, this is probably about 2 weeks after my injury.
Mm.
Um, and like I said, I was probably supposed to be out 6 to 8 weeks,
Hmm.
about 2 weeks, and every day I'm just trying to prove to them, like, yo, I could go, I could go.
Right.
I'm running up and down. I'm trying to show them I can do suicides, and I'm feeling the pain, but I'm not letting them see it.
Yeah.
They double tape me up. They use the thick brown tape on my ankle also, so it's
Hmm.
like
Hmm.
my shoe is like I can't fully tie my shoe, but I'm tying it as tight as I could
Right.
possibly tie it. But So I'm running suicides and stuff before the like a day or two before this tournament. Um, and I'm like, yo, I could go. I could go. And in my head, I know I'm like, hey, if I pop like two or three Adaprints,
Mm.
I was like, I could go out there and I could play. And after the game, I'd be in pain. But I just pop this, I'll be good. Ice
Right.
bath after the game. So I'll go out and I do it, and then I play the rest of the season. Granted, I played the rest of the season on limited practice, similar to my freshman year.
Hmm.
So my first 2 years of college, if we had like 1 or 2 days in between games, I didn't touch the practice floor. If we had 3 days in between, I'll practice one of those days, and the rest would be like conditioning and rehab, and just like if we're doing light stuff like walkthroughs, I'll do that stuff. But yeah, my first 2 years of college, I rarely practiced because of nursing those injuries.
Yeah.
Um, So later on in the season, as the swelling went down a bit, I didn't get another MRI, but I got cortisone. Got a cortisone shot, right? So now, like a cortisone shot, now my ankle is virtually numb, right?
Hmm.
I can't feel anything in my ankle, and that got me through the season. I played, had a good season. I think up to that point, I know that was the best start in UMass, like one of the best starts in UMass history. I think we
Wow.
started out like 8-0 or something like that.
Wow.
Um, and I go on. So fast forward to junior year, I play the full junior year, and I'm actually practicing now. That whole summer, I was working out 3 times a day. I'm like, hey, I'm the returning leading scorer. I'm this, I'm that. I'm like, oh, this is my year. I'm gonna, and I'm putting in time in the gym, and I'm like, oh yeah, I'm feeling good. This is gonna be the year. And then, things didn't go the way that I wanted it to on the court wise. Coach and I butted heads a little bit. I was put out of the starting lineup um, with no real explanation. And I was just like, all right. The first week or so, I was, the bratty 20-year-old, 21-year-old, like, man, I don't want to be here, da 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 da. And then after that, I'm like, hey, I'm here. So, like, what can you do? So I'm like, hey, I'm gonna just take it out in practice, and I'm gonna just like kill the dudes that I'm going against.
Mm.
I'm doing that, and it kept me in the mode of like, hey, whenever my number's called, I'm gonna be ready.
Right.
Fast forward to the end of the season, playoff time. Um, coach called my number, and like I started the season playing like 32 minutes a game, 32 out of 40. Then my minutes significantly decreased to like 12 minutes a game, maybe. And then around playoff times, I was back up to like 28 to 30 minutes a game. So my number was called around playoff time, and I had a couple of big shots and big games where we continued to help our team advance. We went to the conference Final Four, lost by like 4 points in that. We should have won that. And then we went to the NIT Final Four that year as well. Both of those teams that we lost to in both tournaments had, uh, in our conference tournament, we had a draft pick and Andrew Nicholson, first round draft pick. And then we lost to the Stanford team who had like 3 or 4 NBA draft picks in that on that team. So, after that season, junior year goes, like I said, I practiced the whole season. Didn't have to sit out because of injury or anything during practice. And then after the season, I realized like I'm not able to move my foot. I'm not able to move my ankle inward at
Mm.
all. So we run some tests, and my athletic trainer, he's like, "Oh, maybe there's something wrong with your back or your spine,
Yeah.
and it's not firing." So, we go get X-rays, MRIs, um, and then they eventually just MRI the ankle. And they're like, you don't have a tendon there. I'm like, what do you mean? They're like, it's completely gone. So, the 2 years of like cortisone and just
Hmm.
playing on it and pushing through, eventually that tendon ruptured and it was completely gone. So that summer, going into my senior year, I had to do a tendon transfer. So they took a tendon from elsewhere, put it where that tendon was ruptured, and they also shifted my heel over a bit, which was called a calcaneal shift, I believe.
Hmm.
And they inserted 2 screws in my foot. And I was supposed to be out 18 months. They said 15 to 18 months. Um, and like for me, I wasn't really devastated because at that point, again, I told you I butted heads with my coach.
Right.
At that point, they recruited in other guys who they were going to play more minutes than me, and I was like, all right, cool, I'm gonna just leave.
Mm,
So, so I took that year that to rehab with, like I said, our great athletic training staff at UMass, and I had that surgery August 8th, or either August 8th or August 12th, 2012. I think August 8th, 2012, and I was back on the floor playing pickup by December
mm,
in 4 months. And I was supposed to be out 15 to 18
right.
months. It got to a point where like I was looking so good in like practice, playing in practice with my teammates and everything. My coach was like, "Hey, do you want to come back for the last like 10 games of the season?" And I was like, "Yeah, I'm not gonna waste this eligibility. I'm gonna go ahead
Right.
and transfer and go somewhere
Right.
else."
Exactly.
So yeah, that's I mean that's the story of my injuries. And then like when I got the surgery, the doctor told me like, "Hey, you got to continue to get treatment on it. You got to wear specific insoles, and best case scenario, you play for another 10 years at the level that you're playing at."
Hmm.
Oh, my thought process was, okay, get this surgery, leave college, play for another 8 to 10 years, right? That was my thought process. Then I retire after 10 years, and then go on with my life. Um, obviously, God doesn't have the same plans, right? So after UMass, I went to University of Texas Pan American at the time, now University of Texas Rio Grande Valley. Had a good season there, won all conference honors, scored my 1,000 point on my college career, all that stuff, all the good stuff. And then from there, yeah, I went overseas. I played again, and down in Texas too. I wouldn't say that the athletic training staff was as good as UMass because we had different facilities. The facilities down there wasn't as good, but really good athletic trainer, really good athletic trainer. And while I was there, actually, I had a stress reaction in the opposite foot because of overcompensating.
Yeah.
Right. I had to sit out the last 2 weeks, and I missed the conference playoffs of that season.
Mm.
Yeah, my college career was riddled with injuries, but nonetheless, I still scored 1,000 points, so
Yeah.
that's cool. But yeah, after that, I went on to Denmark, played a season there, and quickly realized that I was pampered in college,
Mm.
with the athletic training and like the skill level and all that. Like the skill level to me wasn't nearly what I was facing in college. It was the game was easier to me. The league that I was in Denmark, it was a top league in Denmark, which isn't a top league in Europe. It's like a mid-level league.
Mm.
And if you're talking about the mid-level leagues in Europe, it's probably like closer to the bottom of the mid-level leagues. So that's why I said like the competition for me, it wasn't like it was fine. I went out of there kind of out of shape. I still averaged like 20 points a game, 5 rebounds, led the league in steals and all this stuff. So um did really well over there. But I quickly realized like, hey, I need Dave, my athletic trainer.
Right.
Like I need Dave. And um I'm out there, and the only treatment that they gave, like we did a little bit of stem, but mainly all they gave me was ice. That was like the only treatment. It's like, here, have a bag of ice. But
Mm.
like at UMass, I was getting Graston, and I was
Mm.
getting massages, and I
Yeah.
was getting, I had the ice ready packs and all that, all
Yeah.
that stuff,
All the way.
right? So, and I was getting that whenever I wanted. I could just make a call, hey Dave, or send a text, hey, meet me at the but here it's like, oh, well, our athletic trainer is a student at the university, and so it's just like
Too
exactly.
much. Yeah, it's too
And I'm
much.
like, yeah, I don't know that this is gonna. And I'm like, at the time too, I wasn't getting paid that much, um, and I went back home after the season, and I was able to get a job working with at-risk youth in DC,
Mm.
and I was just like, man, I'm making over double what I made overseas. Like, I could just stay here unless like if I get a good contract offer, then cool. But everything that I was hearing from my agent at the time was, oh yeah, you could get placed in a better league, in a higher league, but they're gonna
Mm.
pay the same because you
Mm.
haven't proved yourself on this level yet.
Right.
So I'm like, I hear you, but I don't know if I can play under these same conditions.
Yeah.
Right? Like my body, my foot wouldn't be able to endure that for another 2 to 3 years to get to the level that I want to get to get the pay that I think that I deserve.
Right.
Um, because the ultimate goal for me was never Europe. The goal for me was NBA.
Hmm.
Right? And it's like, because you're coming out of high school, a top 100 recruit, you're not looking at, oh, I'm going to go to overseas and play basketball. And there's nothing against overseas. I enjoyed the experience with the team that I had there, aside for the athletic training part of it. But
Right.
like the goal was always NBA. And unfortunately for me, the time that I came out, the guys in the developmental league in the NBA, they were only getting paid like maximum for the best players, like 30 grand.
Mm.
The average guys, or the guys without like that didn't come out of like Duke or Kentucky or Kansas, like those guys were getting paid like 15 grand. Like
Mm.
I had guys who I knew when I was down in Texas, there was a G League team down there.
Yeah.
I was getting more from my stipend in college,
Mm.
the athletic stipend that we got. I was getting
Yeah.
more from my stipend than one of my friends was getting from the Houston Rockets G League team at the time,
Crazy.
monthly. And I was like, wow, like I'm not going to the D League. That's what it was called. I wasn't going to the D League at the time. So
Right.
it's just recently they like after I retired, they started, the payment started getting better, their facilities started getting better. But yeah, like that was the goal. It was to go to the NBA. But when you don't know if you can endure this part of it for another year, another two
Right.
years, it's like because the doctor when he did my surgery told me straight up, like, yeah, you're like you play for another 10 years at this level, like you will have pain when you're 40. You won't
Yeah.
be able to walk the same way when you're 40. And what am I? I'm 34 now and I'm not able to walk the same way. And I only play for an additional year,
Yeah.
right? An additional 2 years. Um, so yeah, like I'm glad that I think glad is the not glad. It was bittersweet. Like just understanding like, hey, like the money's not great. I could make money doing something that I'm passionate about, working with at-risk youth here. So let me just do that. And I honestly felt at the time I was at the top of my game. I was at the top of my game that summer. The summer going into that, I was well, the summer prior to that, the summer going into Texas, Pan American, I was working out with guys who won NBA championships, guys who were at the elite level on the European circuit. Guys like Rudy Gobert was in the gym with me. Rudy Gobert from Minnesota Timberwolves.
Hmm.
Like
Hmm.
these guys were that. These are the guys who I was in the gym with that summer. And I was doing well and I was standing out a little bit. So like for me, I'm like, oh yeah, I'm at the top. I'm getting into the
Yeah.
top of my. I even knew that there was more for me to get better at. There were a lot of weaknesses still, and I was entering that. Okay, this is like I told you when I went to Denmark, it was like, oh, this is easy for me. I could score when I want. Like I'm understanding the game a little bit more, understanding where to go. So I was entering that space where everything slows down for me, right? The game's easier, and it's like as a player, wow, I feel like I could do anything.
Mm.
So it was bittersweet because I was entering in that part of my career, but I was like, my body's not.
Yeah.
My body's like, yeah, we can't do anything.
Right. Right. Yeah.
um,
Mm.
yeah, so that's like how injury, like that's what led to the retirement, the bittersweet retirement. Because I always told myself, hey, if I got a contract that was worth it, then yeah, I would go back. This was at that time, but I never got anything at the time that to me made sense to be like, okay, yeah, let me replace this income and go back out there with the hopes of potentially doing better next year. So that's how that was a long-winded response to that, but that's what the journey told me you're not ready because I wasn't ready to retire. I wasn't
Mm.
ready for the difference in physicality when I got to college. I wasn't ready to say, okay, let me pump the brakes because this injury might sound serious. So let me stop
Right.
trying to just work my way back on the court, right? Because and that's what we grew up seeing too, right? You see
Hmm.
Allen Iverson
Hmm.
getting hurt and he's playing with like I remember I vividly remember I don't remember if it was NBC or ABC or whatever channel he was playing on, but they had like a skeleton of a human and they were showing all the places where Allen Iverson was injured. And it was
Mm.
like different places. And
Yeah.
he's playing through that.
Yeah.
Right. So you grow up on it and it's like, yeah. And then you have Dwayne Wade's commercials back then, like you fall 8 times, get up nine, and things like
Right.
that.
Right.
Those different things. It's like, oh yeah, I gotta be on the court.
Yeah.
So yeah, just not ready for just like being mature enough to understand like it's not about right now, it's about
Mm.
what you want to get to. So yeah, it's just like a whole, I guess like a paradigm shift when you get in it, or even afterwards. Because like looking back, obviously hindsight's 2020, but it's like, dang, I didn't know much at all. I didn't know anything.
Mm. You know what's
Yeah.
crazy? It's well, two things. First of all, thank you for sharing all of that. You brought me back to my college days back in 99, '03, doing the same thing, getting hurt and being like, no, I gotta go. They need me. They need me. They need me. Not going abroad. I didn't go anywhere abroad. I was, oh no, they need me for this. I gotta be here for the season. Just you miss out on so many things because you're so fixated on the craft and you're fixated on your contribution to the craft and the team that needs you. And I think that's valiant. I mean, it is valiant because it's true. There's so many things that sports is embedded in you as a person to give back and to put the work in and see the results. And you never want to lose that. You don't want to lose your spot. You don't want to lose the training you take in. Um, Even the time that you put into the gym, sorry, into rehab, right? And waking up at 6 in the morning and doing the rehab. This is how these guys in the NBA and WNBA and everywhere else they get better so quickly because they're putting in that work as their job. And you did that. You right, you did that. And I did that too. I tore my meniscus twice, once in high school, once in college. I've said it on the show 1,000 times. But injuries bring that out in us, especially if you're someone dedicated to the craft. Either you rise up to the occasion and you do whatever you have to get to do to get back on the court, back on the field, back on the track, or you say, you know what, this is not for me. I'm gonna go do something else. I'm out of here, right? And I guess my question for you now is, why was that drive so big? Like, why was it so much of I have to do this? And if I don't do this, then what? Like, why wasn't there any doubt in your mind that you should have, they gave you, 15 months to get better, right? Or whatever. Why wasn't that time frame in your mind? Be like, okay, cool. Let me use that time to fully rest myself and then come back. Why was it no? I'm going to supersede. I'm going to beat that. Why was it I have to get back on the court for this team as opposed to taking care of you? Why do you? I mean, I know it was for me, but what do you think it was for you that made you say whatever they're saying? I'm going to supersede that because I have to be on the court.
The hip thing, that was ego.
Mm,
And because that was the time that was around the time where if you redshirted as a freshman, it's because you weren't good enough to play.
right.
And I'm like, I'm good enough. I need to be out there.
Yeah.
That was all ego, 1,000% ego. Because I could have had surgery in the preseason and just redshirted
Right.
but redshirt was a bad word back then.
Right. Right.
Um,
Because people think you're soft. Oh, you're taking a year off? You're taking a year off for it. Just get back out there, figure it out.
exactly. Or you're
Right.
just not ready. You can't.
Right. Right. Right.
You can't play with those dudes.
Right.
Oh, and that's. I think that was also me proving to myself, like, yeah, I could, because like I said, I got in there and I was like, oh, it's a little different.
Mm-hmm.
I got in there and there were 4 or 5 guys at the same. We're all roughly the same position, and one of the decision makers as a coach, he wasn't really high on me as a player. Um, so it's like proving myself, like, yo, I'm here. I am just as good as these dudes. I do belong, right? And it's like, when it's funny because you bring me back to because I did all this, because I played through these injuries, there was a there was a game or a practice or something that I missed. And we were in like film or something, and our coach was like, he was like, "You're steel. You don't get hurt. You don't get sick."
Mm,
Right? He's like, "You're steel," and I'm just like, so like for me, it's like I embody that, right? I
yeah.
accepted that,
Yeah.
and it was just like, yeah, cool. I might get hurt, but I play through it,
Yeah.
right? Yeah, I can practice a day or two here, but that game comes, I'm here. I'm gonna
Yeah.
show up, and that's ego.
Yeah.
It's ego, and yeah, like if I understood more, if I wasn't as immature, right? Like, because that's immaturity, and nothing wrong with having an ego. Athletes, you need to have a specific kind of ego to be
Mm,
successful, right? That fuels that drive. But like the immature self was saying like, oh, I don't want people to think that I'm not good enough, or I have to prove myself to show them that I am good enough, and I don't have to redshirt.
right.
My talent does belong here. I think that's why I played through my hip my freshman year.
Yeah.
Because I could have definitely sat out. We had another freshman that came in with me that sat out because physically he wasn't strong. He wasn't ready. And
Hmm.
I didn't want to be grouped in with that.
Hmm.
And also I just wanted to get to the NBA faster.
Yeah.
And then with the foot thing, part of my drive was like, yeah, I'm gonna get better. I'm gonna kill these dudes in practice. I want them to ask me to come back and play,
Right.
knowing that I'm gonna transfer at the end of the season.
Right. What you're
Um,
missing.
yeah, so I wanted that. I wanted to have that satisfaction. And again, immaturity,
Hmm.
right? I could have taken a longer time and but again, I healed. I healed, but I didn't have to go as hard as I did, which was fine. It's just the drive of an athlete, I guess. It's just like, you understand the work that you put in. Because like I said, prior to me having that foot surgery where I was supposed to be out for 15 to 18 months, my uh this is me coming off of a summer where I was in the gym 3 times a day.
Yeah, you're ready.
I was ready to be the guy for the team. I had a meeting with the coach about being the guy for the team.
Hmm.
And then also in that same season, my spot was taken.
Right.
Right. So now in my mind, it's like, I got to prove this.
Yeah.
I got to prove this. And then that very next summer, I was working out all summer, same thing, 2 to 3 times a day in the gym.
Yeah.
The very end of the summer, it's like, oh, these are the results. You need to
Hmm.
have surgery on this thing.
Hmm. Hmm. Hmm.
So, like for me, it's just like I never felt like I got to prove myself being 100%.
Right.
Right? I Most of my college career was you're at 50%, you're
Yeah.
at 70%. You're not. I was unable to be. I don't think I played a game in my college career while I was at UMass without Adipirin
Yeah.
and I had two
Yeah.
packs of Adipirin before the game.
Yeah.
Every game. Like I don't think I played a game in my career without it.
Yeah. Yeah.
So that's like it was just like, yo, I never got to prove myself. And I felt like I was behind also, right? Like I said, I came in this highly touted recruit,
Hmm.
people in different circles back home and the AAU teams that I play for. Oh, you got what it takes to make it to the NBA. Da, 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 da. My AAU program has a lot of it, not a lot, but we have a good number of NBA players, right?
Right.
You see your peers excelling. You see
Right.
high school teammates and childhood friends getting drafted in the lottery.
Yeah.
So, oh yeah, I see it. And you're playing open gyms with these guys in the
Yep.
summertime. You're like, oh, we're at similar level. I could play on this level.
Hmm.
Um, and it's just like, dang, I'm not getting the opportunity. I need the opportunity to do
Right.
it. So yeah, I
Yeah.
think that's what caused me to just continue to go in like overdrive and like get back on the court as soon as possible and not sit out.
Got it. Yeah. So you did all this, right? You played through all the sports, and I think what we don't always talk about is this story, right? We always talk about, yeah, you put the work in, and then you made it to the NBA, or you weren't talented enough, and it's what it is. Your
Right.
situation is a little different. You were talented enough. There were there
Yeah.
were there were there were obstacles. There were physical challenges that got in the way, and we see it with Grant Hills and other people, but they got there, right?
Yeah.
They
You
got
got the, yeah.
there, and then they got hurt, right? Yours was different because you got hurt before you could even see the manifestation of that.
Right.
And I guess my question for you now is, you've done so many pivots since then,
Hmm.
right? We talk about real estate, we talk about your entrepreneurial stuff. How are
Hmm.
you applying that same mentality? Because I think the quote stands as it is, right? Life is a game, and first you learn the rules, and then you learn to be better than everybody else. And you were better than everybody else until the injuries happen. But
Right.
now you're doing that same mentality, and you're applying that same mantra to the real working world. And I
Hmm.
think a lot of the things that we learn as athletes, from our coaches, from our trainers, from the discipline that we put in there, from even the injuries that we experience, which can be life changing and devastating because you put a lot of work in and you expect results. And then when
Hmm.
you can't physically see the potential turn into kinetic energy, when you can't see like what you're putting into that thing to manifest itself on the other end and be like, man, I wonder what would have been, right? All the wonders and I wonder if I should have, if I hadn't, you go crazy with that. But then you
Yeah.
apply that same energy to the real world. And I think you're doing that now. So what have you taken from basketball, all the experiences now to put into the real estate and your entrepreneurial work? What have you applied to those things to make you the person you are now in the working world beyond basketball?
That's a good question. I think one of the biggest things is adversity, like being able to fight through adversity. Like one, obviously the injuries, but the emotional adversity of a coach saying, "Oh, I'm not going with you. I'm going to go with this other person, and you're actually going to be relegated to the bench for the foreseeable future." And being able to have to mentally work through that and wrestle with yourself, like, am I not who I think I am? Am I not good enough?
Mm,
Um, but then learning in that same in those same, like, yes, those thoughts come across your mind and come across your head, but in that same thing, it's like, no, I'm gonna continue working and I'm gonna prove that I am. Um, which eventually leads to when your time is called, you're ready and you're prepared. And I feel like that's the same thing, right? In the professional world, like whether it's applying for jobs, whether it's in real estate, trying to get deals or trying to have partners, it's like, yeah, you might somebody might say no. Somebody
right.
might say like, yeah, I don't think that's a good idea, or I don't think we could help you raise money, or you don't have enough experience, right? You don't have the formal training in real estate, right? Because I just came into this game because I didn't go to school for real estate. So, I get all those objections thrown at me every day. It's like, oh, you've never done a project this big. Like, why do you think that you can do this?
Mm,
Uh, so just being able to have that chip on your shoulder to prove like, hey, I'm competent enough. I could build this team to get this project done. Right? I'm able to do the same things that this guy that went to school for it and got formal training for it because I could also learn. I'm capable of learning. I'm capable of like just figuring things out when it looks like there's not a way.
yeah.
Um, so yeah, I mean that I guess ability to overcome adversity, overcome those objections, overcome the no's, that you're not good enough. That resilience, it's embedded in me, and that allows me to, whether it's, whether I started out working with at-risk youth. That was the reason I pivoted to real estate, was because I wanted to help.
Mm,
I grew up and I played on teams with guys who come from um, different situations where, they're from underserved communities, and it's like what I was doing as a youth development specialist, I didn't feel like I was able to impact as much as I wanted to, right? So like just being around those locker rooms and being as close as I was to my teammates, it's like that's part of the reason why I wanted to make it to the NBA, because I wanted to impact those around me that needed it. I wanted to be able to help. So like the work that I was doing, I'm like, I'm not making enough money doing this. I need to figure out a way where I can make enough money to be able to actually impact,
hmm.
right? Make the impact that I want to make. And then that led me to, I just did some research and real estate, right? So I was like, hey, let me get smart on this thing and let me figure it out. And now I'm in rooms where we're talking about like developing affordable housing for underserved communities, and putting affordable housing in communities for different content creators and things of that nature, and building ecosystems with health services and giving people access to mental health and good grocery stores and things of that nature. These are things that I'm actually able to be in the rooms for now. And that all started just because I don't think that it's fair that just because your mom doesn't necessarily have a good job, or she might have two or three jobs, or she might not have the same um, IQ as the person that's the vice president at Raytheon. So she's relegated to being nothing against like a cashier, but she's relegated to being a cashier and she can't make the same wages. That
Right.
doesn't mean that she has to live in poor conditions.
Correct.
So like, how do we bridge that gap? So
Yeah.
it's allowed me to get in, like, fuse those passions together. Just being in those locker rooms and having empathy for And seeing it in like family and things of that nature, just having empathy for those different situations and want to help build that.
Listen, your bio talks about you serving as asset manager at Mason Equity Partners and vice president of Numance's real estate investments. You've managed projects of transactions, $250 million in transactions, and you're doing great work in terms of, like you said, affordable housing, sustainable growth for others. Just listen to what you're saying. And I know you're not in the NBA, right? You're not in the NBA, but you're doing what NBA people do. There is so many people in the NBA right now who are doing exactly what you're doing. And maybe they're the ones who are putting up the money for that, right? They're the ones who are going out there and making the housing. I always see these things on Instagram, right? This person went out there and brought whatever number of houses in this area in California or in DC or in Brooklyn, wherever else. And they're doing that. You're doing the same thing. And you're doing it in a way that is your way and a way that is impactful and opening doors for others. And I think it's remarkable because it might not have been the route that you'd expected, but you're still doing the same impact that many people who make it to the NBA, when they do get back to the community, you're doing the same thing that they're doing in your way. And I just wanted to affirm you on that because that's how I see it. And I'm not in California to see it, as clearly as others who are able to see it face to face and like in person, real time. But just looking at what you're doing in terms of the vision you have for giving back to others, when people make it, that's what they do,
Right.
and you're doing that. So kudos to you for that.
Appreciate that. Appreciate
Listen,
that.
I want to talk about the big thing that's on the ticket for you, and that's
Mhm.
this game on game.
Yeah.
Talk to
Yeah.
us about what game on game is.
Well, so Game on Game is the multi-dimensional platform. The so it's a company that started out as a book. Not many years ago, a few years ago, I was talking to a friend and I'm like, hey, I have this idea. I want to write this book. I want to just give athletes something that can help them, and not after they're done playing, but help them prepare for like that journey of while they're playing from like middle school when things get real
Mm-hmm.
all the way throughout. And that's so I started just writing based off of what I learned through my experiences, based off of what I wish I had, the tools that I wish I had, the resources I wish I had, the knowledge that I wish people gave to me, and they probably did give to me. I was probably just too arrogant and ignorant to want to receive it, but just all of these things in one book from my experiences and others. So that's how it started out. Right. And as I once I completed this book and as I was writing it, I started thinking, I'm like, this isn't it. Like
Mm-hmm.
this, like the book is fine. Like in the book, I think it would be a good tool and resource for people. But I was like, there's more to this. And the more was this multi-dimensional platform where I think I mentioned to you and I'm mentioning it publicly for the first time that it's a platform to help equip athletes with the different tools, knowledge, relationships that they need to thrive, not just in sports, but in life. And this platform we utilize storytelling, education, where I'm building out a curriculum, mentorship, community building, um, different web-based digital resources, just so athletes could succeed in the real world. And it's like I said, this multi-dimensional platform that's continuing to be built out. The book is set to drop end of 2025, early 2026. That's TBD. The curriculum is going to be released late winter, early spring 2026. Um, we have a speaker series also going to be released in the spring of next year as well. Roundtables as well with athletes, peers of, so we have high school athletes, college athletes, professional athletes, retired athletes, just speaking on different topics that we want to hear. And I'm not one to want to be in front of the camera
Mm-hmm.
and talking about like, oh, this is what we're doing, yada yada yada. But like, I do want to be the one helping curate these different spaces and pushing out some of the content that I believe that we need, especially in this space where youth sports is taking this turn of like, oh, it's all about money.
Hmm.
So yeah, I mean, the mission statement for Game on Game, the overall brand is Game on Game exists to equip athletes with the tools, knowledge, and relationships they need to thrive, not just in sports, but in life. Through storytelling, education, mentorship, and community building, we prepare athletes for every quarter of their journey before, during, and after the game.
Mm.
And that's important to me because, like I said, I wish that I had people holding my hand. I wish that I had that person to be like, hey, like, I don't know that it's smart to go out there and play your freshman year with that torn
Yeah.
labrum in your hip. Like, hey, maybe take a beat before you go ahead and like commit to the college that you're going to. Like, why are you actually committing to this school? What are you actually committing to? Right? Hey, that booster who's actually really interested in you that keeps talking to you after the game, like talk back to them. Don't just
Mm.
right like who are they? Who are they as a person? Why? How do they get courtside seats to every single game?
Yeah.
Right? What are they doing to be able? Because those seats cost money. What are they doing to be able to afford that? Right? These
Hmm.
different people, these classmates that you have in high school that eventually become CEOs of tech and AI companies. Right?
Hmm.
Like who are those people? Why not build relationships with those people? Because you're not going to be a athlete forever. Like yes, you will be an athlete forever mentally, but you won't physically be able to be an athlete forever. So how do you tap into these other things and these other people, and how do you build a support system, and what are the resources for after I'm done playing when I'm going through my post-career depression and all these different things. These are all things that's touched on in the book, and then these are things that we're addressing through the different streams of media that we have and the different speaker series and the mentorship and things of that nature. So yeah,
Amazing.
it's hopefully we're gonna roll it out slowly, but we're gonna try to do everything like pristine. So it'll be like a 3-year rollout for the full overall brand to be realized. But yeah, it'll be a slow but hopefully efficient and effective rollout.
Incredible. Listen, I'm super excited about that. I got to have you back on the show once the book does come out and once the rollout does begin. But I love it. I love it. I love that you were going to be an author. I love that you're putting your experience and tutelage into a book form that will last forever. That's legacy for me. That's why I wrote my two books. I'm not
Mhm.
an author either, but I'm an author now, and you will be an
Right.
author as well. And it is a legacy tool because your story needs to be heard. You can share so much knowledge with others who have been where or are where you are now. And you're right, all those questions that we don't even think about asking, putting those things out there to make the connections for what's happening after the physical athlete does dissipate because it does happen. And like you said, I'm the one in my 40s now, so I'm the one feeling all the knee and ankle and hip. I'm like, yep, that's me. That's me right now. Injuries take a lot longer now to heal than before. I played basketball.
Yeah.
It's funny. I played basketball about 2 months ago with some of my coworkers. 2 months ago, Javon, 2 months ago, my
Still.
groin is still sore. My knee is still kind of. I'm like, I played for 2 hours 2 months ago. That would have been nothing for me back in the day, but now it's like, oh my goodness, it's crazy. So yeah, man, that stuff happens, but the mentality never changes. You're always going to be an athlete.
Thousand
You're going to be
percent.
an athlete for the rest of your life, and that same drive. The only reason I played is because cats were talking smack, and I was like, "Yo, you're not. Come on, let's just go out there, and And that's gonna always be here, no matter what. But the physical, like you said, does dissipate. It does change. So how do you take that same mentality and apply that to the 9 to 5 or whatever time or no time or entrepreneurship or whatever you're gonna do to make sure you're still gonna be an athlete off the court? And I think your game on game is gonna be that. So I'm super excited to hear about that.
Thank you, thank you. Yeah, and I think one of the biggest things too is just the fact that as athletes, we have tunnel vision, right? It's
Mm-hmm.
like, gotta get to this. Like for you, it might have been the Olympics, right?
Mm-hmm.
I'm running to get here. For me, it was like I want to get to the NBA, and like as a byproduct of that, we neglect certain talents we might have, certain curiosities we might have. We like suffocate those things because we feel like it would take away
Yeah.
from our ability to be able to make it to this our ultimate, our ultimate mountaintop.
Right.
But in actuality, like these things help take the stress and the pressure off of you,
Yeah.
right? If it's like if you're so overwhelmed with the game and so locked in on like, oh, I gotta make it, I gotta make it, and then that one bad game you have, or that one time you don't run the time that you want to run,
Right.
and you're now replaying this over and
Yep.
over. But if you know that you have a curiosity about like the piano, or you're actually curious in the stock market a little bit, like, and you want like that would help distract you from running that thing in a loop in your head, right? And you'll be able to healthily step away from that and put that energy that's not helping you reach your goal into
Exactly.
something else that's helping build you up and make you a more well-rounded person and ultimately help you reach your goal because you're not negatively damaging yourself in the process. So,
Yeah.
um, these are just the different things that we're touching on. So, I mean, I think it's going to be big. I think it's going to be, I think it'll be, necessary. And I think it's good for parents to also read as well, because especially in this generation where everyone needs their kid to be a pro, uh,
Mm-hmm.
like what are these pressures that you're putting on your kid and what are the actual ramifications of it?
Mm.
Right? How does that grow and how does that materialize when that 12, 13, 14, 15 year old now becomes this lottery pick?
Yep.
Do they keep you in the fold or do now, hey, I could decide I don't even want you to be a
Mm-hmm.
part of this picture.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So these are the conversations that parents need to start reading and having an understanding. So I think it'll be good, and I would love to come back on to talk about it once we start rolling out a little bit.
Dope. Dope. Listen, any final tips you want to share with listeners about the game, game on game, real estate, basketball, or just life in general? Any final thoughts?
Man, one thing that I mean, it's simple. Just enjoy it, enjoy life. That's the one of the most. I think that's one of the best pieces of advice, as simple as it is, that I've ever gotten. And it was from a bus driver. It was from our bus driver in high school
Mm.
who would take us to and from our away games.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Every time we got on the bus, enjoy life, enjoy life. He sees our heads down, bad game, good game, enjoy life. And as simple and as easy and routine as that was for him, I think that we do get busy. We do have all of these things going on, but like we only get one of these things. Like this, you get one life. You have heartbreak, you have ups, you have downs, but like enjoy it. It's a journey, and it's regardless of where you are in that journey, like you're blessed and be thankful that you're acting because even in your low, you still have opportunity
Yeah.
to, change that around. So enjoy it, enjoy the process, enjoy being that person to overcome
Mm-hmm.
that adversity. So yeah, I think that's what I'll leave you with. That's simple, but it's not too deep, but you know,
Dope.
enjoy life.
Dope. Javon, where can folks contact you on social media or otherwise?
Okay, on social media, first name, last name. So at Javorn, Javorn Farrell, Farrell. So that's on Instagram, on Twitter. I believe it's the same thing. I'm not on Twitter too much, but on Twitter, I believe it's the same thing. I drop Medium articles every now and again. I think I dropped 4 so far. I'm probably gonna do another 3 before this book comes out. And on Medium, it's the same thing, at Javon Farrell, same first and last name. Um, and we're gonna start rolling out some game on game stuff. So it's on TikTok, Instagram, YouTube, and the handle for that is at Game on Game Foundation.
Awesome. Awesome. Sir, it's been a pleasure chopping it up with you. Fam, we are, and I'm looking forward
Sure.
to all the things you have coming down the pike. Very, very proud of you. Congratulations on everything. You're doing great.
Thanks for having me.
Of course, of course. And folks, he said, oh, so many gems. I feel like I'm back. I'm back at Brown University, back on the track, getting ready to run again. You got me hype. But it's true. Listen, the quote from today was simple, right? Life is just a game. First, you have to learn the rules of the game, and then you play it better than everyone else. Whether you playing that game real time on the field, on the track, on the court, or you're playing that game now as a more seasoned athlete mentally, in the
Mhm.
workforce of your life, that thing still remains the same. Go out there, play the game, be the best, and learn from your experiences. Apply that grace to yourself when things aren't having the best day. Apply that tenacity when the challenges do come up for you. And learn from those who've been around you, learn from those who came before you, learn from your experiences, apply those things to life. The game of life is just like the game we played many, many years ago. So excited for all that Javon's doing. Check him out on social media and otherwise, and look out for Game on Game coming to you all very soon, including
Very
his book very, 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 very soon. So, folks, that's a wrap with Be More Today's show. We'll see you again next time, but
soon.
continue to be more and to be more alive in 2025. We'll see you next time. Peace.